Such an important part of a business owner's world is the relationships they form with their suppliers, their customers, their staff, but also don't neglect your friends and family. So today I want to give you some tips about dealing with friends and family to keep your business owner relationships with those in good shape. First of all, the thing is, what do we want to be remembered for? We're at our funeral, clearly we're not alive, but when people are talking about us, do we want to be remembered for things like, we were hardworking, we stayed up late every night? No, we don't. We want to be remembered for being a good person. So really think about that and think about your day and what you're doing, because sometimes we're not making the right calls, me included. First point is schedule time for your family and friends. And yes, I say schedule because it'll make sure it happens. But you can also obviously be spontaneous and do things as well, but make sure you're actually allowing time in your day for your family and friends. A good way to do this to start is to set goals for whole of life before you set your business goals. When you set your business goals first, you may set goals that are basically going to cause you to fail in every aspect of your life if you're expecting too much from yourself. So first of all, set those goals. We also then want to not let work take over. But if you've got a big project on, if you've got something, really big happening, make sure you're communicating that to your partner. A big part of relationships, obviously, is communication. So if we can communicate with our partner and say, hey, I've got this really big job coming up. Give me, 3 days, let me do my thing. And then I will, do something special for you. Take you out on a date, take the family out for something, whatever. But try and make sure that you're communicating. Unfortunately, there's been a number of divorces in the last year or so I've seen with business owners. And it's an ongoing thing, right? We know that there's a high divorce rate, but it is sad when you see business owners split, and particularly where their partner is also a business owner. And we're going to talk about that a bit later. So clear communication is super important. Having those whole of life goals is great. And just making sure you actually give some time up for your friends and your family. And also remember yourself too there. So the number 2 thing is, should we hire family members as staff? Probably not. Not a great idea unless they are the best person for the job. They're a good fit for the job. There's a group on Facebook called Tradie Wives. And basically it's a group where they're the wives of tradies. And so what do most of them do? They do the administration, they do the bookkeeping, all that sort of stuff for their partners' businesses. Often there's a lot of angst in that. Often they're not paid for that role, and often they're doing a role that is far beyond their capabilities. So make sure that if you're going to hire your partner in your business, if you're going to hire family in your business, that they're actually good for the role. There was a guy I met with many years ago, and he told me about his business, and the first thing he said to me was that he was behind in doing his tax, and he was getting penalties for his VAT statements, which were really annoying him. And the thing was, his accountant was his wife. So the first thing I suggested as an advisor at the time was basically sack your wife. I think that gave him some authority to do it because he felt like he could, use me as the scapegoat. My advisor has told me to sack you. Anyway, so obviously it created a little bit of friction in their relationship for a few days, but ultimately it was the best thing for their relationship because he could get someone that would do the job and do the job properly and on time, and he felt that he could be on top of them to do it on time, but also she picked up a job somewhere else and was more happy. So if you have got your partner doing the books or the admin, make sure they actually want to do it, and if it's not right fit, get somebody else to do it instead. And you should be covering that person's time regardless. So whether it's paying your partner, your kid, or somebody else, you should be paying them. So once you do that, it should be fine. Partnerships, they're the bane of my life. I have dealt with so many people that have had bad partnerships, whether it's a husband and wife, whether it's 2 couples, it's siblings, best friends, ex-work colleagues. They tend to go bust. There's been some really big high-profile ones go bust. Grilled was one of them, because money makes people change, right? So that's something just to bear in mind. So partnerships, I really strongly don't advise unless you are absolutely certain you know what you're doing, what you're getting in for, how the other person works, how you're going to be able to work together, how you're going to resolve disputes, and make sure you do draw up legal agreements at the start. And in Australia, do not do a partnership, do a company. A company is much easier to dissolve and change than a partnership. So please don't get into a partnership where disputes could arise down the track. The last thing I want to talk about is point number 3, when family and friends ask you to do work for them. So you might be a website designer and they know you're a website designer and they come to you and say, oh, can you do me a website? Mates rates. Now, mates rates. I just want to raise this first. Mates rates, if they really are your mate, or if they're really family, wouldn't they actually want you to be paid what you're worth? Just a thought. It's just a different way of looking at it. Instead of expecting something cheaper because they're a mate, respect you and show you that you're actually worth what you're worth. So I have a little bit of an issue with mates rates, but if you are going to offer them, make sure that you actually include them, just like you would any other form of discounting type relationship. The other thing with mates that can be problematic is you're often just fitting the job in on the side. The trouble is you can be tired and ready. If everything else is busy, you're not going to fit it in on the side. And that can cause friction and problems. I see that a lot of times that people are getting frustrated because their friend or their family member has done their website, but they're not actually delivering it. So that can cause a lot of friction. So just something to flag there. I also see issues with family and friends, when they're not happy with the quality of work and they don't know whether to say something or whether to not. It just creates a lot of friction. So really think about that relationship you have with that person and whether it's worth losing friends or family over. Okay. And with reviews, if the person is to leave your review, again in Australia, the Australian Consumer Watchdog basically has rules around people leaving reviews when they know you. They must disclose that. So if they're a friend or a family member, they can say, oh, so-and-so did my website, but you actually have to disclose it. Okay, so they have to actually say, I know Jane, she's my sister, They have to disclose that. So just bear that in mind when they are leaving reviews and things to not be breaking the law. And certainly never get them to leave reviews just to be nice to you to get you started when they haven't used the service. That is a bad idea. The last one on this front of hiring family and friends is bear in mind they hear, oh, you're a photographer. But if you're a landscape photographer and they want portrait photography, make sure you tell them, I'm not actually a portrait photographer. I take landscape photography. It's different because often they don't know. They know what they know and they don't know what they don't. So they may think that just because you're a photographer that you could do a really good job with a particular portrait shoot they need doing, or the wedding even. If you're not a wedding photographer, then make sure you disclose that. Okay, so you may not be the right fit for the job. So in summary, when you're dealing with family and friends, first point, remember you want to have a good relationship with your family and friends. Schedule time with them and actually give them the time that they deserve so that when you do pass away, they do remember you as a good friend, a lover, a partner, whatever, mother, father, whatever you are to that person. Number 2, when you are hiring family or friends, please make sure they are fit for the job and not just hired because they're there, okay? And particularly if you're going to take that the step further to go into business with them, to partner with them, just be very, very careful. Number 3, when you are taking work on for friends and family, just remember, friends and family work should ideally be charged at full rates, not at mates rates. It shouldn't just be fit in. It should actually be part of your normal scheduled work. And that way, both of those things just don't create any resentment. It also allows the person contracted you for the work to actually receive the work at a normal standard and be happy to actually say, hey, this wasn't quite what I expected. And remember, if they're leaving reviews, they do need to disclose their relationship to you. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope that was useful and to help you maintain your business relationships. I'm Jane Tweedy. I'm from FAQ Business Training. Please tune in for more business tips. Thanks. Bye-bye.